Good morning, welcome to 59 Minutes. My name is Levi Kones. This morning we're going to be talking about advancing the youth agenda, and to join me in having that discussion is youth policy analyst Joshua Korir. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Kosalama Joshua.
Kosalama.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
When you talk about the youth policy agenda, what exactly are we talking about?
The youth policy agenda. This is the advancement of the issues of the youth in our country. For example, if you talk to any young person, what they're looking for at this moment is opportunities. Opportunities for work, opportunities to run enterprise, opportunities to be productive, because young people have a lot of energy to dispense. And if they don't have an opportunity to dispense that energy somewhere, they definitely end up doing the wrong things. So youth policy is about driving youth-friendly agenda that supports the youth and make sure that their energy is dispensed in something that is productive.
Yeah.
Because the energy has to go somewhere. If it's not going to something good, then it's going to something bad.
Yeah. So far we have just had a new government come in, towards the end of last year, now beginning their very first year in office, really.
Yeah.
And in the lead up to the elections, there was a lot of talk about the youth.
Yeah.
Both sides talked about, the youth agenda, how they're going to. Young people were, front and center of the whole story, really.
Yeah.
And even campaigns were geared towards targeting young people.
Yeah.
Do you feel, so far, as we have begun this year, that we are on the right track?
I think we are on the right track, considering the issues of the youth has been, it's been a bit tricky since independence. Every administration comes in, tries to do something about the youth, but they get it somehow wrong. And the thing with this new administration is they're having to deal with a lot of problems. Apart from the problem of the youth, there has been the problem of the economy and the mismanagement of how our economy has been working.
I think every administration has had a problem with the economy.
Yeah.
Who had a problem with the economy?
Kibaki had a bigger problem with the economy also, yeah. But if we can look at it this way, the issues of the economy affect the youth also. So if the economy is not working, that means there's no opportunities for us to start businesses. There's no opportunities for us to run SMEs. There's no opportunities for us to work because now the economy is not doing well. But the issues of the youth becomes sensitive because if you look at the statistics now, 75% of our total population is under 35 years old. And 21 million of that is between 1 and 14 years. So if we have a problem now with the population 18 to 35 years are around 17 million. So if this 21 million young people under the age of 14 get to 20, how prepared will we be as a country to be able to accommodate them? Because they'll be looking for opportunities to grow, to run their own things, and to be their own bosses. So how prepared will we be by then to ensure that as these young people are coming, we have everything in place to accommodate them and to be able to give them a chance to, push ahead in life?
Some laymen will ask, what do young people really want? What do you people want?
What do we people want? We want majorly opportunities. I'd want an opportunity to be here like I'm here today. I'd want an opportunity to do business and have an environment where my business can thrive. And an environment where my business is thriving means that there's money in people's pockets now they are able to buy. So that would mean also working on the economy. Young people would also want to have opportunities to grow and learn. For example, at some point, I'd want to go back to school and be able to pay that school fees and pay the school fees that is not heavy on me or pressuring on me. Yeah. So opportunities to explore and do everything that we can do, because this is the only time we have as young people.
True.
Yeah, this is the only time we have.
The period between youth and really become real adults, which is very, very short. Huh?
Yeah.
And in that short period, you do say you want opportunities.
Yes. Yeah.
How are you coalescing around advancing that agenda? Because we do see young people during elections being used for campaigns.
Yeah.
If Mandamano is called, they're the ones who are there. If a rally is called tomorrow, there's a good chance that rally will be
majorly youth,
young people.
Yeah.
And truthfully speaking, because of the lack of jobs aspect and lack of things to do. But then we don't see that coalition in as far as a unit is concerned, trying to advance a common agenda. Why isn't that so? Because there should be a demographic of just young people pushing government.
Yeah.
government just went ahead and did, they did their cabinet, they did their comprising of everyone, of course, the PSS, everyone, blah, blah, blah. And still, I feel, unless I'm wrong, that the youth were not very well represented in that demographic. But there is no voice for you guys. Mko wapi?
Now,
ama mnangojea elections ya 2027?
I think tuko ndani. Tuko ndani, and this is how we are inside. The government concentrated more on the legislative houses. We have a lot of young people both in the Senate and in the National Assembly. And if we have people, let's say in cabinet, they don't have to be youth, but they have to be driving the youth agenda. They can be older than us, but they have to be pushing for policies that brings change. Now, on what was the previous question before?
Do you feel like that alone, by the way, takes away your ability to have a hand on the steering wheel?
Not really.
Remember when we were growing up, when I was growing up,
they
said, vijana wakati wenu ni kesho.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the story that was passed on generation after generation.
Yeah.
And even now, we reached a point where the youth said, no, sio kesho.
Ni leo.
Ni leo.
Yeah.
Na hata ilipita ingekuwa hata jana. Na wakasema kama sio sasa,
ni sasa hivi.
Ni sasa hivi.
Yeah.
But that statement you just made translates almost into understanding that it could be tomorrow. If other people can advance the agenda for you, then you're okay with the wait.
Now, there's a challenge with us as youth. We are not as united as we should be. And we don't understand that it is not everything that has to be done for us. In my case, for example, we have a football team at home. I come from a place called Kamatargui. And if I don't shout out the people from Kamatargui, I'll be in hot soup.
Where is that, by the way?
It's in Nandi, Kapsabet. So you get to Namgoi, the road that goes to Nandi
Namgoi,
Hills.
yes.
Yeah. So
you go ni kama unarudi huko nini?
Ni kama you're going to Nandi Hills.
To Nandi Hills,
yes. Yeah, then you'll get to Melon. There are boosters there. Now there's a road going right. Now that is my general area. Yeah, and if I don't say hi to them, I'll be in hot soup after this.
No, they're sawa. Salams.
Yeah. So, for example, what we are doing in Kamatargui, we are in the process of registering a football team because that is what we can do ourselves without waiting for the government to come and help us. Now, after registration of the football team, that is when we'll need the hand of government to ensure that we are well kitted and we have tournaments in place. Now, Nandi County has a football league that has not been as active as it should be because qua ground, the youth are not as prepared as they should be. If, let's say, today a representative of sports come to a certain sub-county, you'll find that there are no teams. If their teams are not registered, they are not well planned, they don't have a structure, and that is what we can do ourselves, and that is what we are doing in Kamatargui to make sure that we have a team, and this team is registered, and we are kitted, and it'll be like a pilot project for the entire...
in your county, for example, you guys at some point, I think it was the last elective stage, or maybe even a bit of this one, you had the youngest governor, you had the youngest senator, you even had the youngest batch of MCAs. Never mind that you threw many of them out after the election. But you're generally guys who are woke in terms of youth matters. So, mnashindwa kufanya football team, what is the issue there?
There's
With
no
all
issue
the young
there.
people driving the agenda in Nandi County.
No, there's no issue there because the perception outside is that the government has to do everything for us. But the government is a big machinery, yes, but it does not have the capacity to come to you and do everything for you. And that is why people like me are fronting themselves to be able to help where we can at the bottom there. Because the county cannot be everywhere at the same time.
So it's about you people now making the moves, so you
making the moves ourselves.
Say, we need help in X, Y, Z.
Yeah. So if we go now to government, we'll tell them, now we've been able to do this and this, where we need help from you is here. We're not going to them and telling them we don't have an idea what we should be doing. We are now looking up to you, to help us. Yeah. That would not be sustainable.
That's not the case in many places in the country as far as the youth are concerned. A lot of the expectation, especially when it comes to matters jobs, is that something will happen that will then create jobs. As opposed to a pitch, for example, for certain youth policies to be advocated. For example, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking, the amount of licenses you have to pay to get something. The fact that youth do not have work experience, and that is required in some sectors in order for you to get a job, how to reduce that and match that up for a young person at entry level to be able to get, you know, an opportunity. The fact that apprenticeship is not so recognized and is not even factored as a way of, you know, giving you a startup. There's so many internship programs that offer nothing as far as remuneration is concerned. So, you know, you go until you become completely wasted. You're 1 year down the line, you've been an intern, all you've done is volunteer. You're not going to be, you know, confirmed for the job, and it cannot be counted as work experience. Yet it should be counted as work experience for you as you moved somewhere else. You can at least quote, if you came here to CAS and stayed here 1 year, you should be able to say, I was at CAS, I'll even get a recommendation later, and count it as work experience. And other employers should be able to see it as the same. You know, such kind of things. And, you know, we're asking who's going to, you say you're not united, but who's going to pitch those things for you? While you're saying government, of course, it's true. Government will not bend over backwards tomorrow and try and say, you know what, young people, we are going to do for you A, B, C, D. We're writing it down. They'll give you a general roadmap. We want to empower the young people. We want to empower 50 million of them. So, how do you get out of this one, Joshua? We're discussing youth matters every day. Where is the end of this tunnel?
So I admit that the issues of youth are multifaceted. Apart from what I said of us doing our own things, there's parts that the government can play. For example, when you've talked about the licenses being expensive and being many. For example, in Nairobi, if you want to run a business, you have to have around 25,000 for licenses alone. That is apart from registration of a company, which is 15,000. Then you have to go through the cost of branding and having a running website and having everything else. Before you're even done, you might find yourself spending 100,000 on a new business. That should be what should be your seed money, so that you can advance your business. Now, it was in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto that the number of the trading licenses in Nairobi and the amount you have to pay will be reduced. Now, we are still waiting on that from both our national government and Governor Sakaja, because they promised us the licenses will go down. Now, that is what we are still following up on and making sure that it comes to us as young people, because we are the people who run a lot of businesses within our city.
And the young person from your village in Nandi there is having the same problem as a young person, you know, from Garissa, or from Luo Nyanza, or from, you know, Western. The interesting aspect is that inability to coalesce around issues. Because separately, you're very different people in terms of the way you articulate your agendas, but commonly, you have the same agenda in terms of what you really want. And those things in a common group, you guys are very heavy demographic. It'll be hard for any government to ignore its young people.
The youth.
If they come together, they write a list and say, these are the things we will require for you guys to make changes. And you need to meet certain timelines, because us just saying we'll reduce licenses and it has no timeline, that could be in 2025 or 2027, just before the elections, so that we can win the elections. You know.
And that is why young people like myself are fronting ourselves to take that space of making sure that the promises the things that were promised are kept, to ensure that the issues of the youth are discussed on the table. Because if we tell the government we want you to deal with our issues, and we sit back and wait, then we'll be doing ourselves. So the only way for us to be on that table and ensure that we're discussing the issues of the youth, if us ourselves are there, and we will be there by making sure that we have the knowledge required to discuss such issues at such levels. Because saying as young people we want us to be looked at and issues to be worked on is easy, but working on that issue is another thing. Now we have to be working on those issues ourselves as young people.
What's causing your biasness towards, you know, being able to come together? Is it tribes? Is it political affiliations? What do you think is the real point of this unity?
Now, the biggest point would be political affiliation. In as much as we are all young people, and we all have the same vision, we are politically aligned differently. So, for example, I'm aligned to UDA. Now, if UDA today says that they want to reduce, let's say, taxes for new businesses owned by young people, now Azimio on this other side will come and say, we do not support that because of this and this and that. And all the young people within Azimio now will oppose. So in as much as we are aiming at being unified as youth, we also have to understand that there's independence of thought, independence of making decisions and political decisions. And that has been the history of our country, where if you are within this line, you have to stay within this line. You cannot go to the other side, whether it has something good for you or not.
Why has it affected you yet? In your generation, you guys speak that you say you guys are tribeless, you're boundless, you're on social media, you are, eating from Kamau's shop and having a chat with, Otieno and getting treated by, Momanyi, and getting married to Kwamboka. You are already feeling like you're already boundless, tribeless. When you do a TikTok video, all your followers, you don't care that you're coming from. In fact, you don't want them to only just come from Nandi, Sindio?
Yeah, you want them to come from everywhere.
Your hits in your village are not going to be enough to get you there.
Yeah.
Yet when you move it to the political side, you get locked in the same box that your fathers and your grandfathers got locked into, as far as matters tribe is concerned. Why is that so? Do you feel like it's a passed down thing we can't get out of? Is there a thing about the young people that seems to be stuck in a way of looking at things that way? I mean, now
I think it's been a generational thing, as you've said, passed down from our grandparents to our parents to us. But things are changing, albeit slightly and slowly. They are changing. So it's something that has been happening for a long time. Will also take quite some time to undo. To undo. So in as much as young people, we say we are tribeless, boundless, we interact with each other. Now our politics is controlled by people who are relatively older than we are. So for as long as they're there, that is how we're going to be. But a time will come where now those of us who are coming up will be able to be in these places and be able to make these decisions that we want to see. There's an accusation that comes your way that many of the young people who've gotten opportunities have then gone on to quote unquote shame us. Do you think it's true? Now, you cannot judge a whole forest by the fault of one tree. So I admit. Good one. But so I admit we have a few bad apples, but wamechoma, atukatai wamechoma, but it's a few. The problem with doing the wrong thing is the wrong thing has a way of shouting. Even if you're a good person and you sleep kidogo, people will magnify where you've slept and forget everything else. Now, we agree that there's some that have done a few wrong things, but it is not a reflection of what we are as Kenyan youth. It is the same way we have scandals of like leaders who are way ahead of us. So we just a few bad apples, but the youth are solid. When it comes to matters to do with business, for example, what's your feeling about the hustler, loan? The hustler fund. Yes. Now the hustler fund. Really, you have to repay it. But like that. What's your feeling about it? About the hustler fund? The hustler fund is an ingenious idea, but I have to agree, the implementation has been a bit slow. But it also has to do with policy and the bureaucracy because, of course, of our system. Because guys were complaining that they're only getting 500, the highest was getting 1,000. But as the president put it right, they are going to use the system of credit scoring. So if you borrowed that 500 today and you paid it before the period ended, now your credit score goes higher, you're able to borrow more than that 500. So I believe over time, Hustler Fund will make sense. If we give you 2-3 years, then we'll see the real impact of Hustler Fund. But as at now, it's still like at its infant stage. It's still new. So it will take a bit of time. That 500 bob doesn't make much of a difference. Would you agree? It makes a lot of difference. It does make a lot of difference. Let's do a budget of a young person, or a hustler, or a comrade. Now, lunch would generally be 100 shillings. So if you take 500, that will be lunch for 5 days. Oh, that's in that 100 unakula nini? In that 100 unakula chapodondo. You can eat rice and beans. You can buy mboga 20 shillings, nyanya vitungu, you go to your house and you prepare. Yeah, that will be even below 50 shillings. So that 500 shillings makes a lot of difference for someone. Yeah. Those who are saying 500 ni kidogo sana, maybe they are lost in privilege, or maybe they are used to soft life. But for those who are down there, it makes a lot of difference. Yeah.
What's the way forward in as far as getting your agenda on the table? Because you say now there's a time issue, you're waiting on some things, and you're hoping that government will come up with some policies to back up the promises. But where do you think the timeline is at before you start shouting, hey, we need to talk about this?
I think at this point, we would not be keen on timelines. We'd be keen on them being done, the process of making sure they're happening. So if we are having consultative meetings right now to ensure that the trading licenses are brought lower, then that would be progress for us, because at least there'll be a conversation about the licenses. If it's about manufacturing and industrialization, and if I can use that as an example, if we look at clothing and textile, the clothing and textile industry, if we can grow our own cotton, that means the cotton farmer will be getting revenue from selling the cotton. Now it goes to the ginnery. Between the farmer and the ginnery, there'll be a transporter, there'll be maybe someone who buys it from the farmer and takes it to the ginnery. You look at that value chain, there'll be a lot of impact, because now the farmer, the transporter, the ginnery, then the textile mills, then the textile is made, it is sold, we have designers, we buy Kenyan clothes. So even those who are selling Kenyan clothes will be able to make money. Now it has an effect, a chain effect on the whole system of production. Because, for example, now that we are doing mitumba, we import mitumba.
Yeah.
The value, that textile value chain of another country has been, we have essentially built their value chain, because they grew cotton, they took the textile, they processed, they made clothes, they sold the clothes. Now we are buying the clothes after it's been worn by someone else. So I think working on manufacturing and industrialization will have a big effect on the youth, because we have a lot of labor, and if we can work on making sure that all manufacturing industries that we can do locally, we have policies to ensure that we do not import them from outside. We enhance that here. And it's something the government is doing, because now during the launch of Devki Mills in Kwale, the president said he would want to see Kenyan steel being produced here instead of us being importers of Kenyan steel. The same with cement. Instead of importing the components for making cement, and we have enough here, we can do it here, so that our value chain will be affected positively.
I hear you.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break on that note. We are speaking to Joshua Korir on matters to do with the youth agenda. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away.
Candace, what's that?
I brought you a small bonus.
Bonus for what?
You got us 299 family dinners, 64 kisses on the cheek, 12 road trips to see grandma, 42 jokes from daddy, 49 laughs from mommy.
In over 60 years of dealing with numbers, we've learned that the numbers that matter the most to you are the ones that matter the most to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it. We've learned that the numbers that matter the most to you are the ones that matter the most to us. NCBA Bank. Go for it.
Kama uko na kamtu, happy Valentine's Day. Na hata kama hauna, at least Mbogwa nakupenda. Sasa ni 7 days of of love with a surprise bonus on Fiber Mobile.
Ay diamondo, mweranyo mwendete, uwoe moko na igoro, goshenje so. Ay diamondo, mweranyo mwendete, uwoe moko na igoro, goshenje so.
Come on, download Fiber app to get the bonuses. Happy Valentine's Day. At least mbogwa na kupenda.
Brand new shows this month. Add some drama to your life with a young convict as he seeks redemption.
Work hard to go home to your friends and your family sooner.
Revel in this dramatized docuseries about the legends of Wall Street.
Greed is healthy.
And bear witness to some of life's most embarrassing hair disorders.
All I wanted to do was be a normal teenager.
Get all the brand new shows by getting and staying connected to DSTV.
Stream the best entertainment straight to your smart device this month and never miss your favorite DSTV shows ever again.
Hi, please can I put this one? Yeah, you can put it under.
There's so much going on beneath the surface. Secrets lead to lies.
Got a yes to Joshua's proposal, and this is our perfect wedding.
The DSTV app. Download it today.
Ibai picture verun simet at kandugule akskiza tunini.
Hey, Baba Tonglo, mimi mekuja hapa nijaribu kuona ile migeni yote mekisakuja. Sasa mi ujui utanunua nini, utawacha nini. Na mi kusaona hata juzi biriti peke yake mekusakuwa kali. Chumbi mekusakuwa kali. Hata ile mafuta kikaanga mesakuwa kali. Sasa mitatoka wapi chakula? Ukijaribu kuona mambo ya gas mekwenda juu. Budget iko hai. Arka wisame. Sasa mitafanya nini? Wacha mimi narudi dala. Usikate simu. Hiyo simu ni kitu ya maana. Sauri communication is part of me. Nilifanya ICT.
Asinyoru Baba Tonglo kueksikiza tune ngungete. Ijil *812 *432 hash.
And welcome back to 59 Minutes. My name is Levi Kones. We are talking about advancing the youth agenda with Joshua Korir. We don't have so much time. Fortunately, we're not able to start very early, but you know, the show goes on.
Yeah.
Now, the UN describes part of the youth agenda as fivefold. It talks about skill, it talks about education, it talks about business empowerment, moral and financial empowerment.
Yeah.
Now, we have spoken about the business aspect and what the youth expects.
Yeah.
You know, and possibly touched on the financial issues that, you know, most youth are thinking about.
Yeah.
But there is an issue to do with skill as far as, you know, how equipped the youth are in facing the day-to-day activities that require them to be actually good craftsmen at their work.
Yeah.
Because even when we talk about businesses, one of the things that stands out is you can have 100 fundis, but the good fundis, we all know them. They stand out.
Yeah.
You know? And then the other issue is the morality. Too many of our young people are in drugs and alcohol. They're lost in abuses, not only drugs and alcohol abuse, but also in gambling and things like that.
Yeah.
And as far as talking about the youth agenda, are these also things you're looking at, and how are you addressing them?
Yeah, these are things we're looking at, and they are interconnected with the other three: business, finance, and education.
Moral.
Yeah. They are all interconnected because if we teach our young people the right things to do in school, then they'll be able to do that. But when it comes to morals, we have to agree that young people are generally explorers. They're out there. They want to do things. They want to try out new things. But if we could have a good relationship between those who've gone ahead and young people, instead of the society looking at young people like the enemies or the people who are doing it wrongly, now they can look at us as people who need mentorship, people who need a friendly approach, people to be talked to. So I believe the relationship between those who've gone ahead of us and us will also help greatly to ensure that there's...
You're talking about mentorship?
Mentorship. Yeah. There needs to be a lot of mentorship and mentorship programs. And when it comes to skills, we have to accept there are things that comes with experience. Now, there are people who would be older than us who are more experienced. That would also come with mentorship, we can say. It would also come with mentorship. If, for example, today I'm a youth policy analyst, and I also do business here and there. So if, for example, there's someone who looks at Joshua and says, Joshua is pretty talented, I think I can hold his hand here as a young person, I can do 1, 2, 3, we can do things together. Then that will definitely help our young people, because we end up in a pool of loneliness. Because you try to do this, you don't have the experience of a 40-year-old in terms of doing that, and you're trying to push it, you don't know the right things to do. Now, if you can get people to talk to us as young people, and if the society can look at us as people with the potential of leadership tomorrow, then they would be at the position of talking to us from a point of understanding what we can become. Yeah. So looking at the youth as people who, just apart from us being energetic and outgoing and loud and out there, also people who need to be held. Yeah, to be held to move, to be able to move to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you feeling like the youth are in that space where they can also see cancers?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe.
Because there are tendency to think that a lot of young people, for lack of better words, are wajuajis, so to speak. Would you agree?
I would partly agree. Partly. Because
at least we concede kitu.
But
you have been generally not agreeing with these things, but
partly because and it's not a bad thing. It only needs to be controlled. If, for example, my ujuaji can lead me somewhere and open doors and opportunities for me. Yeah. So if we can talk to the guys who've gone ahead of us, and now you tell us, if you do this, this will go wrong, don't do that. So I'll be able to tame my ujuaji and make sure that I can use it here.
Yeah.
And if I
Would
use
you
it
listen,
here...
though? That's a question. Most people will ask, these young people, do they listen? Do they want to enter this hole that we entered, you know? What approach to mentorship do you think should be adopted in truly reaching the young people?
Yeah. For starters, there has to be willingness from both sides. Young people have to be willing to be mentored, and those who have gone ahead of us should be willing to mentor us. And we can sit down and we can take the titles out and look at each other as both Kenyans now, and we acknowledge that you are people who've gone ahead of us, and we have deep respect for you, and we're ready to learn. Now, on our side as young people, there'll be the spirit of learning. We have to be willing to learn. Yeah. And on the side of those who will be mentoring us, then will be the provision of time and knowledge. Time and knowledge and life experiences is what would really help as at now. Because if we are not influenced by the right things, we definitely will be influenced by the wrong things.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
And media is becoming a force that at this point maybe cannot be controlled. Now,
Chapa media.
Actually,
it's social media.
Yeah, social media.
Social media is more like everyone has their own broadcasting house.
Yeah.
Right at the tip of their fingers. So you put out something there, it goes. It might even get more traction than what media would pull out.
Yeah.
It's very.
Yeah.
You guys have to grapple with that. We did have to. For us, was letters. You write a letter. After 3 weeks, you follow it up.
Yeah.
Most of our scenes are buried because of those things.
Yeah.
Most of your scenes are on social media. Yeah.
Yeah. But we have to agree. Social media is good. It's very good, used correctly, but it also has negative influence. And now, if we have influence on this side, then let us have alternative influence on this other side. So mentorship should also be that intense to ensure that young people grow up to be responsible citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. What are your final thoughts, even as we end this show, in as far as the youth agenda? What can you tell the young people this morning? What's their takeaway?
I think the takeaway for young people would be that there is a lot of hope. If we can coalesce around ideas as opposed to affiliations and tribes and everything else, there's a lot of things we can do together. And if we can understand that if we want to be at the table, for example, then we have to go to the table with something concrete. We have to be able to put ourselves to work to ensure that we are changing lives for ourselves. And as I said before, there are things we can do that we don't have to depend on government. Government cannot give everybody jobs. So for example, like the program we are running, if we can bring ourselves together and register football teams, we register these teams. If we can come together as young people and decide we want to start a business somewhere, then we come together, we start chamas, youth groups, and we come together and empower ourselves, so that when we talk to government, we are not talking to them from a point of being clueless. We talk to them from a point of saying, we've tried to do this, now we'll just help. We need your help to touch this button and this button.
Getting into the room.
Yeah.
If you can't get on the table if you were never in the room. So you need to be in the room. Doing these things so that when the table opens up, you're there. But if you're outside the compound, how will you get on the table? You know.
True.
So in the meantime, get in the room.
We should be in the room.
Do your two things there as you're waiting. I hear you. Good stuff, Joshua.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing from you as you push the youth agenda. They should give you something.
They should. They should. Yeah. I have the right ideas.
I know the guys in the village are like, yes, they should.
or the guys in the village can give me something.
They can give you something else.
True.
Joshua Korir, he is an advocate for the youth agenda, pushing it very hard, trying to be out there as young people, really, really getting himself in the room. That's what we have for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. See you next week.